Hello again, comic book fans. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Geezers. I am Wild Bill the Unknown Comic, your host, and as always, the founding father of the show right here, partner in crime.
I am Pete. How's everybody doing? We're going to go a little off the beaten path today, just a little bit.
It's a DC episode?
It's a DC Vertigo episode, right? And no superheroes today. So this is more about the kind of cool, offbeat stuff that went on in the series called The Preacher.
Yes, this is late 90s?
Mid-90s, started in 95. Okay, this ran until the very early 2000s, so not a long time, but I think they made the most of their run in a big way. And this, I read this way after the fact. So, this obviously came out in a monthly or
comic book format.
Comic book format.
He has the graphic novel
I've got
version.
all the volumes that contain the entire series. And as and I haven't read these in a few years, but Bill just read them, so it's probably a little fresher in his mind. Every now and then I might give him the assignments.
Stack. Not only these, hold that stack up. He gave me these and about another stack of other novels to read. He gave them to me at the end of October, and I just got done with The Preacher like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But they were a good read.
Yeah, so again, not superhero stuff by any means. So basically, Preacher is based around this character who is a preacher, right? He's a pastor named Jesse, okay? Jesse Custer, okay? And he's got his main squeeze, who is...
And it's Garth Ennis?
Garth Ennis. Okay, so of course, created by Garth Ennis. All right,
and the artist
Steve Dillon drew most of the series, if not all.
I think he did it all.
Yeah,
I think there was the team effort through the whole series. I believe.
Yeah, they have other artists who kind of came and went, but I think Steve Dillon kind of. Also...
But it's a demented story.
First of all, Garth Ennis has got quite the mind for masterminding kind of. Time out.
Not for children.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. This is adult reading, which is why it's on the Vertigo label and not just on regular DC.
If I were to generalize for you, if I were to pick one movie that was kind of similar that this book kind of reminds me of, I would say Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are elements in this story that remind me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with that demented family that raised the preacher.
And it takes place down in down south, right?
Yeah.
So you got Jesse Custer is the main character. You got his on and off again girlfriend Tulip. You've got the vampire.
Who's his friend?
Yeah, what was his name again? Jesus, God.
I forget.
What is his
But
name?
he was friends with Tulip.
Yes.
The female love interest of Jesse, the preacher.
Yep.
Go ahead. Look in the book for the vampire guy.
How can I forget his name?
There's all kinds of characters. You've got like an evil army force.
You can start showing some of this stuff.
Okay. There's another guy. The preacher actually wants to kill God. This character is almost like from heaven. He's almost like heaven's executioner, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
The guy with the guns. He's like unstoppable. In the beginning, I don't remember that. Here's the vampire. And you don't find out until like maybe volume 3 that he's a vampire. But in the beginning, he's always like, I'll meet you tomorrow night. He doesn't come out in the sunlight.
And he's Irish. God,
He's a big drinker. There's a lot of alcohol in this. A lot of sex, alcohol, a lot of violence. Here's an example of like what the cover would have been for the issue.
Yeah.
And it was very well put together, I thought. And there's a lot of back and forth, jumping around with stories.
Cassidy. I couldn't remember his name.
A lot of blood,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of decapitations, a lot of lost limbs.
Sex. Just
a lot of violence. Just a lot of gunshot holes.
This is like off the wall stuff. Did you mention Assface yet? I mean,
no,
another character that gets his face blown off, and he's.
And then here's the preacher. There's also part of the story where like some angel had sex with a demon.
Yep.
And the offspring needed to be terminated.
Yep.
It's just out there, man. This story is so out there. And then you got like law enforcement going after the preacher and the vampire guy. So whenever they're drinking in bars, here you go. Here's the sex scene between the angel and the demon. And so there's a lot of back and forth foreshadowing in this story.
The dialogue is great.
It jumps around. It was a good read. And the preacher kind of has his own kind of powers, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know? And he's a badass fighter. He looks like a wimp. He can kick some ass, this guy. And Tulip, his love interest, she's like Clint Eastwood with a gun. And this guy is he's like the angel of death.
Yeah, the gunslinger guy, yeah.
And he just doesn't go down, this guy.
And he's out to kill the preacher.
Yes, he's hunting because the preacher wants to kill God.
Yeah, it's all about this thing called Genesis, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the root of it.
And in the story, God leaves heaven, and preacher's got a problem with it. It's almost like God quits.
Yes, and preacher's like, you can't quit. I got to find you. I got to knock some sense into you.
Yeah, and this guy, they use this character, and then he kind of disappears in the middle versions of the novels. Yeah. And he comes back in the end.
Back later
but
on.
Every time he shows up, it's just carnage. Yeah. It was just really cool, man.
I think Carnage sums up like most of this. This comic.
And like Volume 3, I think it's the second. Is it the second one? When they go back in time and they start to tell you about the preacher's upbringing.
Yeah.
And the family that raises him, they're like sick and twisted, like the family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, she's nuts.
This is the madam of the house. It's just pure evil. And when he doesn't comply with the lessons they're trying to teach him, and they're all about preaching the Bible to him at first, and if he doesn't comply, you know what they do? I'm looking for it. They put him in a coffin as punishment. And then they take the casket and they drop it in the bottom of a lake. And they leave him down there for a week.
Yeah.
And apparently it's airtight sealed, so he's not going to suffocate, but he would, of course.
A week. That's a long time.
And he's got no food, and he's got no place to go to the bathroom, so he's just laying in there for a week. And then a week later, they haul him out of the water. And he's like, in fact, here's the swamp where they drop him in. And when I got to this part in the story where they drop him, they're going to drop him in there he is. The bottom of the lake. You just sit there and think about it, little Jesse, what you did. And they leave him down there, and he's got this friend that has one eye. He's like a hillbilly half-breed, inbred kind of kid. And there's just so many different twists in this story. So they take him out of the bottom of the lake, and of course he plays along that he's
rehabilitated.
He's conformed.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go. He hated being at the bottom of the lake in the dark for a week.
As any of us would, right?
Yes, and no food. Here's an example of God against the preacher, having a little talk. Just very, very demented story. Just out there. If you're into something that's not superhero, I would definitely recommend this. It was a good read. A lot of interesting characters. This dude was wacky too. This drug addict dude that had the mansion that always wanted to have drug orgies.
Yep.
He was out of control. Again, another example of someone getting their head blown off. This dude was a demented character. He's like the number one. He's like
a German guy. Yeah, I was gonna say
he's like one of the number one protagonists in this story. He's out to get Jesse, and he's also out to get that gunslinger dude.
Yes.
And anybody else affiliated with Jesse, like Cassidy, the vampire guy, Tulip.
And Cassidy the vampire, not your traditional vampire, so it's not like he's got fangs and all that kind of stuff. And he can be out in the daylight, but he can't be in direct sunlight. So a lot of times they got him in the back of cars out in the middle of the day, and he's got like blankets over him and stuff.
But if he gets direct sunlight on, he starts to catch on fire. Because there's that one scene when he tries to save Jesse, who's falling out of a plane.
Yes.
And he's starting to burn up, and Jesse's like, "Just let me go."
Yeah.
And he does, and he survives the fall, Jesse.
He does, I know.
Which is a couple.
I was just going to show a scene where he gets blasted by a bunch of guys with guns, and he's in like a million pieces, but he doesn't die. He gets kind of
Cassidy?
He comes back together.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, just a wacky.
He had that rehabilitation Wolverine powers, right? His injuries healed instantly.
So again, a lot of gore, as you can see. A lot of exploding heads and ripped bodies. I mean, this series pulls absolutely no punches.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's show the covers to all of these. So we showed
these two.
Yeah, we showed those two. So that's volume number 2.
There's one.
Volume number 1.
But very well written, very well done.
Volume number 3. Okay, there's Cassidy.
So this was a good tip from Pete. He's like, you got to read these.
I think everybody needs to read The Preacher.
And I was like, damn, do I? This is a big stack, but you can get through one of these if you're hooked. These books, they go fast. You can get through a book in 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, if you have
a lot of time, you can rip through them.
I would spend like maybe an hour a day. 45 minutes, every once in a while, half hour. I would sit down 20-minute intervals, but I could get through every book in about 3 days. I think the fastest I got through one was in like 2 days, but some of these are thicker than others.
So this guy Garth Ennis also did The Boys, okay, which was also made into a TV show on Amazon Prime. Excellent. He also worked on The Punisher for Marvel. All right, The Punisher with the extreme stuff.
They don't have any Assface characters.
Oh, we need to find Assface.
On a cover.
No, but we need to find him.
Assface was a character. The cop I showed you in the beginning, the old cop.
That was his son.
Assface was his son. The father cop hates his son. The son tries to commit suicide and shoot himself in the face. Go ahead, show that. He shoots himself in the face and he survives. And
but he's got no mouth, basically.
He basically blew his face off, so now people started calling him Assface for Assface. So he can't talk. It's all mumbo jumbo.
Every panel that he's in, they do the dialogue box, and it's just
and then they give the translation.
Which is just
and he becomes
hilarious.
A music rock star.
Yes,
who can't even sing. He plays music, and everyone loves him.
Yeah. And
then some kid shoots himself to make himself look like Assface, and he dies, and then the parents want to sue him. Right?
Yep.
And then he gets his whole career goes down the tubes. And then he meets some chick who has one eye, and she's the sister of the one-eyed boy I showed you.
Yep.
So things come around full circle in this story. Really, really cool.
So here's a perfect example of Assface talking with the drool coming out of his mouth, the explanation down below. All right.
What was the name of the bad guy, the bald guy, the German Nazi?
Oh, I forget his name. Yeah, that guy was evil.
He got caught by these other evil Texas Chainsaw hillbilly types, Texas Chainsaw Massacre hillbilly types, and they cut off his leg and eat it.
Yes, that's right.
And he's like drugged up when he wakes up, he's like, "You cut off my leg," and he's like, "You had to amputate," because he fell out of a plane too.
Yeah,
right. He was all injured.
Yep.
And they cut off his leg, and he thought, "You couldn't save my leg," and they were like, "No, we were hungry." And he's like, "What?" And he gets a pistol and starts shooting his way out. And then he's running across the desert, hopping on one leg to escape. But I don't know which issue this is in to find it for you. But a very demented series. I liked it very much. Thanks for turning me on to this one.
Yeah, I knew you'd like it. I try to turn anybody who's into comics onto The Preacher.
It is like the farthest thing from a comic book I've ever read.
Yeah.
This is definitely a novel, like a Stephen King novel. Kind of in that respect, even though it's not Stephen King, it's demented. It's got a touch of evil to it. It's got a lot of violence, and it's very well done. I thought it had a lot of. It was as complex as a Stephen King novel, like The Stand, for example. So many different characters, but interesting characters.
Very well written.
Very well done.
So curious for those of you who are watching, who are well versed in The Preacher, what you thought of the AMC TV show, which I think is still on. I gave up after 2 seasons. I just didn't think that they captured the essence of what
is in these books.
Yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't quite. You know what it is? I think something like this. You got to, if you're going to do a TV show on Preacher or a movie, it's got to be no holds barred, just like
you got to stick to
the comic, right? Yeah. And I didn't think that AMC. I thought it was okay. But they strayed away from the storyline a little bit, and then it just wasn't as extreme as it needs to be. I just think you got to have it on a network that's going to just go full bore, all the gore, all the sex, all this.
There's Assface.
Yeah.
But there's actually panels in one of these books where he actually shoots himself in the face.
Yeah, it's pretty early on. I think it might be in the first
but just, book. Good artwork, man. I thought they did a really good job with it. Yeah. It definitely... With each turn of the page, you didn't know what the hell was going to go on. But a lot of dialogue, a lot of character interaction, everyday life problems.
Yeah, not your punch, kick, blast type of thing. This is a lot of dialogue.
A lot of blasting, though, with the gunshots.
Yeah, and like Bill said, a lot of carnage. So if you like bloody comic books, this is storytelling.
If you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan or any kind of blood and guts hack and slash, this is right up your alley, The Preacher.
Yep, funny stuff.
Yeah. Very good. A good read, definitely. Highly recommended. Got got to give it 2 thumbs up. 5 stars out of 5.
That's right.
All right,
Love
guys. That wraps up our DC Special Preacher Edition. I am Wild Bill, your host, saying thanks for being here. And as always, please hit the subscribe button. Tell your comic-loving friends about us. We apparently seem to have some good fans there that are telling us some good things, and we like what you're saying, and we appreciate it.
Yep.
And we thank you so much. And again, come back and see us again soon.
Yep.
I'm Wild Bill saying thanks for being here. We'll see you.
And I echo everything my partner said, and thanks for all your views and your subscriptions. And remember, your homework is to tell 2 people you know who like comic books about us, if they haven't already checked this out, and tell them to hit that subscribe button. So we're marching on towards 1,000 subscribers, and we're not that far.
We just passed 600 this weekend, so thank you so
much.
much.
So we're getting there. For a new channel, we're getting there. So we'll see you guys next week, all right?
Take care. Bye-bye.